Hey, Print Hustlers, welcome back to another episode of Printavo Print Hustlers Podcast. This is your host, Bruce from Printavo. We're already just jumping in because I'm curious into what you were working on last night, if it's a video or not. We've got our co-host, Stephen Farrig, out of Campus Inc., Champaign, Illinois, Champaign's finest. And our very special guest, Lee Stuart, out of Rogue Lab Manufacturing. Okay, wait, what were you working on last night?
A few different things. I'm filming a couple of videos right now. I'm doing a pretty large job at the moment with multiple designs. Everything's like, 6+ colors, and on a manual press, man, that's a lot of work.
So you are part of the world that still prints on a manual or swears by only printing on a manual?
Nah, Lee's gonna upgrade.
Definitely upgrading, that's for sure. I'm printing on a manual out of necessity, essentially, but that's not going to be for much longer. I'll say that much.
Gotcha. Well, Lee, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where's home? For anyone listening.
I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, which is a city that pretty much most people have never heard of unless they live in Canada. I've been printing for, 2 years now? I think it is. And I make YouTube videos that are mediocre at best.
That is the biggest understatement. For somebody who also makes YouTube, not YouTube content, but not nearly the quality that you do, his stuff, if you guys don't follow it on YouTube, just search Lee Stuart, is awesome. We'll actually link in the comments below. I mean, I told you this before, but I think having made more videos, there's such an appreciation for the quality that goes into and the time, because I totally understand all the B-roll shots, and the slow-mo and the sliding and the lighting. And, anyway.
Yeah, thanks,
so
man.
Lee's just shy of 80,000 subscribers. So if you're listening to this, go subscribe.
Smash that subscribe button.
So we can. So there's your promo for being on the podcast. Probably the other way around, but that's okay. So Lee, you got 80,000 subscribers on YouTube. Your channel's awesome. Were you into videos first before you got into printing, or how did this all happen?
Yeah, I've been making YouTube videos for, I guess, like 5 years, I think. 5 or 6 at this point. I was making them about motorcycle stuff for a long time. I used to be a professional stunt rider. So I was kind of, the first couple of years was doing that, and it was doing okay. It wasn't really doing much, though. I think I kind of like plateaued off around like 10,000 subscribers or so, and it really didn't go anywhere past that. But during that time, I figured out I really loved editing and cameras and all that stuff, and it just, as soon as I got into the whole screen printing thing, I noticed there was a gap on YouTube of content that was something that I wanted to watch. Essentially, there's tons of screen printing content on YouTube, but to be honest, a lot of it at the time was pretty tough to take in. So I just figured, you know what, I'm going to start filming and editing what I do every day and see if anybody likes it, I guess. And this gives me a chance to maybe put my love of filming and editing a little bit more at the forefront, because before it was the writing that was at the forefront, and it was very tough to use those skills because someone else was always behind the camera, because I'm out on a motorcycle, obviously.
Wait, Lee, what is professional stunt writing?
Well,
I mean, I'm sure it's a ridiculous question to you, but I think of like movies or like a stunt professional.
Yeah, a lot of people do, I guess. I was a pro in 3 different motorsports throughout the years.
Okay.
I was a professional freestyle snowmobile rider for a very long time, and then also a freestyle motocross rider at the same time, because they kind of go hand in hand in the off season. And then the stunt riding thing is like sport bikes, Harleys, that kind of stuff, doing all the wheelies and technical tricks, things like that. That's stunt riding in a whole. So that was what I did for the last few years before I started printing.
Got it. Do you happen to know Josh Merrill at Liquid Graphics? I believe he was a professional rider as well for quite a while. He has all these bikes, and
I may have talked to him on Instagram. I think I've talked to a couple guys on Instagram now that have print shops that were like pros or pro-am guys in the motocross scene. So
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, huge shop in California, but anyway, he has like bikes, crazy amount of bikes in his office, and everything. Sorry, Steve.
So like, stunt riding on motorcycles didn't make you famous, but printing did.
Yeah, weird, right? I didn't see that coming either.
Was that just like a late night of just like, you know, really thinking hard of like, you know, like this just isn't cool enough? Like, how'd you get into printing?
I got into printing again out of necessity. I'd started a clothing brand towards the end of like my YouTube writing thing, because I really like put my all into the YouTube writing portion of things, and the money was not coming back. There was 10 times more going out than there was coming in, and I got to the point where I was like,
what, from YouTube or from writing, or like sponsorship wise?
Yeah, from writing on YouTube. Like at one point in time, we used to get paid very well for what we did, but this day and age, it's a lot more difficult, and there's not much sponsor money in anymore because there's really not any events and that kind of stuff like there used to be. But the YouTube thing, like that was just me just making YouTube videos, trying to make YouTube a job, essentially, because I knew probably like 10, 15 guys who were doing it as a living, just riding their motorcycles, talking with a GoPro attached to their head. I was like, well, I can do that. So I tried really hard for a couple of years, and it was basically bankrupting me. And I got to the point where it's like, this is do or die. I have to quit this and get a real job, or I got to figure something else out here. So right at
TikTok wasn't around then, huh?
Yeah, it was not.
Yeah.
So
if TikTok was there, it would be totally different.
And like, it was really weird timing, because right at the same time I had I guess like a bad breakup with a sponsor at the time, who was a clothing company, and I was just like, man, I should just start one up for myself, because this is ridiculous trying to deal with these people over and over again. So I figured, you know what, I'll just do it. This is like a last-ditch effort. If this doesn't work, then I got to figure something else out with my life. So I took like my last $500 that I had to my name, because I spent it all on that stupid motorcycle, fixing it nonstop. And yeah, I started up a little clothing brand, and it started doing some stuff. So that was really cool. I kind of dug my way out of that hole, but it got to the point where I wanted to produce better and better stuff, because I'm the most critical person you've ever met in your life. Like, if you have one pube trimmed out of place, I will pick it apart for you.
All right.
But
Line it up.
These people that were printing my stuff, the quality was just, it was atrocious. Like, now that I know what I'm talking about with printing, like, I know exactly how bad it was. Like, it was very, very bad. But even back then,
tell us about that breakup story. We like hearing about breakup stories.
That's a whole thing.
Yeah, you don't have to name drop them, but like, you know, here's your opportunity.
Yeah, no, I'll keep that behind closed doors. But
okay.
Yeah, it was just basically the quality level that I was dealing with. It just was not close to where I wanted it to be. And so I was just like, well, if I'm going to get what I want, I'm going to have to do this myself. And I just dove all into it. I didn't like start slow with a little one color press or anything like that. I like full shop package. Let's do this thing. And just like I did with everything else, let's dive in head first, full commitment, and there's no turning back.
Wow.
That first video really popped off too. Because I remember, I don't remember if it was on Reddit or something like that, but the awesome, you know, screen printing shop in the basement or something like that.
That would have been probably like, I want to say 6 to 8 videos in to when I started screen printing. The first bunch was like me actually learning to screen print and just horribly messing it up. But yeah, about like 6 to 8 videos in, I made that one, just touring my little shop that I built, and that one went off like big time. That was on Reddit. I think Shock Mansion posted, like a bunch of those like viral video sites were posting the thing, and yeah, that video really took off, and I gained more subscribers off of that one video than my entire time riding motorcycles on YouTube.
Wow. And you know, your original setup, that was the Riley setup, I would assume?
Yep, still rocking pretty much the exact same setup. I've added more stuff since then, a lot more stuff, and now I'm crammed in this little basement, but
gotcha.
Gotta do.
So if you could give credit to one other, you know, company, YouTuber, teacher, what would you say? Like, how did you actually get your start?
Well, as far as printing is concerned?
Yeah, as far as printing.
I learned the basics off of watching the Ryonet videos for probably a year before I got that equipment. Like, I knew about a year before that I needed to do this because I couldn't find anyone locally to print my stuff the way I wanted. And I obviously didn't have the cash right there and then to dump into this whole thing. So I just started saving up, and I watched those Ryonet videos. every day to learn the basics of stuff and just ingrain them into my brain, like the terminology and all the, you know, little simple things that beginners take a long time to learn. I drove that stuff into my brain nonstop on that channel for a year. I can probably recite half of those videos word for word to you. It's funny too, because like the first time I ever like talked to Ryan, like we got on the phone. He's like, "Hey man, it's Ryan from Ryonet," and I was like, "Wow, that is the weirdest thing I've ever heard," because I've heard that in my living room in those videos so many times before this conversation. It's like, this is a trip.
That is such a similar story. I watched Catspits early on, and that was those, and then the early like VHS converted to YouTube Ryonet videos, which are still up.
Yep.
And I'm sure probably like the #1 driver still, because half of everybody, if not more, is learning off of those. And it funnels. I mean, just the power of content. But I think what's crazy about content is not just posting the one video, but it was clear there's the journey of posting regularly, whether it's monthly or bi-weekly or weekly or whatever it is, that leads to either that big hit one or just this big audience that everyone is gathering these views and awareness.
Yeah, it's a slow grind, that's for sure. It doesn't just happen overnight. Like you might have one video or two videos that do really well or just hit and you get a bunch of subscribers, but they don't stick around. In order to keep those people around as regular viewers, you got to keep making stuff over and over again. There's tons of channels out there that have like 100,000+ subscribers and get not even close to a quarter of the views I get because they only had one or two videos that did well, and they didn't post regularly enough. Like you got to build an audience, build a connection with that audience, and give them something that obviously that they're looking for on YouTube, because that's how they found you in the first place.
Wow. So let's talk about consistency for a sec. Like, you're printing and you're making videos. Is the camera on you all the time? Like, how do you compartmentalize and like create discipline for yourself? Because that's part of what you do.
Yeah,
it's really hard. Like I kind of gotta prioritize what I'm gonna be filming, and it's weird because like when you film what you're doing, it takes 5 times longer than it normally would. So if I'm printing a job that's like 50 pieces or something like that, you know, anyone knows even on a manual press, that's a very short and easy job. Well, when I'm filming a video, that is 12 hours long because of all the different camera angles, all the different stuff that I put into my videos. It's a lot. So I kind of got to like plan it out ahead of time, what I'm going to be filming, unless it's like a vlog or something, then I just grab my camera and I wing it. I actually have a video coming out tomorrow that's exactly that. But whenever I'm doing like a tutorial or doing something that has value to somebody, that's kind of planned ahead of time. Like, this is the jobs I have coming up. This is probably a good opportunity to show this technique or this whatever. And then I kind of plan it around that.
Wow.
Is there, like, what are you thinking about as far as content? It sounds like you're super passionate though about video, which pushes that forward a ton. Is that still what it is, or do you view it as, hey, I can use this to help drive Rogue Lab, right, in retail sales, or I know you make a lot of those really cool vector packs, and maybe drive sales to that, or what are you thinking about?
I just really like making videos, like a lot, and I really like what it's turned into, something that I didn't anticipate. Originally, it was just for me to make videos and put my stuff out there, and if people wanted to watch it, that's cool. But it's turned into something else now where I guess a lot of people are getting a lot of value out of what I'm making. Like, they're learning how to screen print better, or I'm inspiring them to screen print or whatever. Like, I've get tons of messages and comments about this stuff every day, and that's been like a really cool byproduct that I didn't see coming, and that throws more fuel on the fire for me than anything, is that.
Wow. Do you think you're getting a lot of your sales from people just naturally watching your videos, or is that, you know, do you think about that often? Because obviously you're serving an audience that might be learning how to print, but you obviously want to get print jobs.
Yeah. What's funny is people think it's all just printers watching us, but no, like, people are looking for printers on the internet. So a lot of my work comes in through the channel, especially like on the design side. Probably, I would say 90% at least of our jobs that come in are coming in because of my videos. And
wow.
So that's pretty crazy. And even with the print, it's very close to that as well. I would say I've printed locally 10 jobs in 2 years. So it's all going internationally from people who have found me through the internet somehow. So it's pretty cool. It's marketing the business on its own. Like, I don't have to really do it. I don't have to push it out there. I don't have to think or have some like hidden agenda behind the videos or whatever. I'm just making videos and doing stuff that I love to do and trying to help people. And a cool just accidental byproduct of that is it's bringing business in. So it's pretty awesome the way it's worked out.
How are you thinking about the balance with retail now too? You put out some really cool designs for Rogue Lab, on that side, but is that a focus, like a revenue driver focus, or is it a just passion?
Well, of course, it's a decent revenue driver. Can't deny that, but it's more or less just filling a gap. Again, like that's kind of what we're about, is trying to help people with things that obviously they're not getting somewhere else. So with our things like our vector packs and stuff, like, they're very cheap, very accessible, and very high end. So a lot of the people watching are print shops or clothing brands or things like that, where this little $10 item can make them tons of money in the long run. And here's like here's this little thing, costs you nothing, and it goes a long way for them. So it's pretty cool. So we're trying to really lean more into that stuff this year, I think, is to push more of that stuff out there, just to give people more variety and stuff. Because again, that's how we came up with that. I looked around, I couldn't find neck label templates anywhere.
But on the retail brand side, you had some really good stuff. I don't know if you're still doing your own branded items, but we've talked to a lot of different shops that are really pushing that hard, even more through COVID now, because with e-commerce is just blowing up too. There's a lot of balance there, right? Like, Steven, you talked about the YouTube retail in itself and just diving in. Some shops I see have like really focused. We're just trying to shop. They're opening up a retail front like now because of this growth. How do you look at the balance and spending time into retail, and your thoughts on it?
Well, I kind of I'm still trying to figure that out exactly, I guess you could say, because we do print like merch and stuff. I sell branded Rogue Lab shirts and all that stuff, and it was funny because like I saw a ton of people on the internet, like the old school guys, like, oh, good luck selling t-shirts to printers, and I'm like, well, guess what we're doing. But it's working out pretty well. I just got to figure out the time management portion of it. Like I said, we are going automated soon, so that's going to be life-changing for me hugely.
What's the timeline? When can we look forward to the video of the launch?
I can't really give anything out yet because there's a big announcement coming. We're doing some shit that has never happened in the industry before. I'm going to say that this year. There's like 3-4 things that has never been done before. Can
you give it? All right. Is there any snippet or any little peek?
Well, I can tell you that the equipment going in is green.
Well, I figured that.
Couldn't tell from your intro video.
That's gonna roll out here slowly. We're gonna start dropping little things every couple months. It's that's gonna give me a lot more time to focus on the retail side of things, so I can print more merch for myself. We can put more time into the digital products. I can put more time into maybe research and marketing, like what's out there or what's not out there, that kind of stuff. So we'll see. This year, I'm really gonna be figuring out that whole thing.
Gotcha. How big's your team, Lee? I mean, is it just you, or do you have help, or where are you at there?
There's 3 of us. As far as the business operations, the printing, pretty much majority of it is all on me. Then I've got a designer who works here. He handles all that stuff, so all the client intake for that, he deals with them. I pretty much just let all that happen. And then I also got another guy who does the vinyl stuff. We're starting to do vehicle wraps and things like that. So I got a guy for that as well.
That's awesome. I follow this guy on Twitter. His name's Jack Butcher. His Instagram is Visualize Value. And I was just listening to something. I sent it to like everyone I know. But he talked about. I sent Bruce like an Instagram like every
It's awesome.
It
makes you really high level think about. Oh, okay.
So he's an artist, and he basically tries to explain complicated concepts visually with very simple graphics. But in one of his courses, or like something he's now selling, is like it's called productizing a service. Essentially, like finding something that you're really good at and turning it into a product. And you said in there something interesting like vector packs. and things that are just really cheap that, you know, people can just buy. Talk to us a little bit about that, because I think there's a lot of value in why you did that. You know, tell us a little bit about that, Lee, because I think that's something pretty intelligent that I don't see very often, but you did right away.
Yeah, well, that actually, it was weird, because the first vector pack thing that came out, it came out through a video. Actually, the whole idea was a 24-hour thing. Like, I woke up one morning and was like, I'm going to make a video about neck labels and stuff, because that was a question printers ask all the time, like what info needs to be in there, blah, blah, blah. So I woke up that morning, was like, okay, I'm going to make a video covering this. I got about, I'd say halfway through filming it through the day. I was like, man, there's definitely something here. This could be one of those videos that does well, and like we should have something that goes along with this video. Like maybe we should put out a template pack, or maybe we should do something, because obviously we're talking about it for 10 minutes here. We should offer at least something that they can learn with. And so I called up my designer, Dan. I was like, let's maybe throw a neck label together or something that we could put out there. And then that just rolled off into like, let's make a neck label template pack. So out of nowhere, we're making a video, a product, all this stuff. And I got to do all the marketing stuff, all the web stuff, like tons of I didn't sleep for like, I don't know, something like 36 hours to get this whole thing done.
Right.
It was nuts. And then when the video came out, the video hit really well. It did very, very well. And those neck label templates started blasting out, and that was like, holy shit, we got something here. So like, let's continue. Let's make more of this stuff. Let's give them more designs, more options, whatever. And yeah, now here we are. That's one of our best-selling products, and we're going to be doing a hell of a lot more of it.
Does that help keep your business afloat as you're trying to do your other things? Is it like,
no, that's more of like
financially?
That's more of, I don't want to call it side money, because it's not like I'm pocketing it or whatever. That's just more, that's like upgrades and things like that. I want to get a new piece of equipment or stuff like that. So that's kind of like just added funding for growth.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I think the one thing that I took there is, you had the idea to make a video, and then it turned into, wait a second, there's something more here.
Yeah.
And I as I talk to printers, I hear that more and more every day, is like, well, we took this and now it's something we offer this way. And I think the one thing you did, Lee, is you built it once, and now you can sell it a zillion times.
That's
and it's there
the beauty
forever.
of digital products. That is the best part about digital products. You put the effort in once, and then it's there forever. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, man, it was really weird that that whole idea just kind of came out of nowhere, and it went, because as I was talking about it, I was looking around the internet too. I took a break in filming or something, because I think I don't know, there was something going on in that video. I took like an hour, and I started looking around, and there was neck labels out there, like vector packs, or well, not vector packs, but like singular things, and they were all so terrible. Like I found free ones, I found pay ones. None of them were very good, and that was another reason why I figured like we should do this, because the way we build and deliver files, like this is about as easy and professional as it can possibly get. So why don't we just do this?
Wow. And that's when you become a resource for the market, and
that's
you're
really
actually
what it's all
servicing
about,
them.
is trying to, I guess, be that. With the videos, like teaching people stuff and getting more people interested in printing, and obviously with our products and stuff, now you've got beginners that are trying to print. They might not be familiar with vector artwork and that kind of stuff. Here's a cheap pack that can get you into it and things like that. It's more just trying to serve the people coming into it, or just trying to make their jobs easier.
Cool.
When you were Lee, like it sounds like there's just so much happening. Yeah. Right, and you're grinding out to put in as many hours possible as you can. Who was the first person you brought on, and when like what was the trigger to that? Because I get this question a lot from people who are just starting their shop, you're getting going, and it's like, I think maybe they're looking for a revenue number, or for a stress level, or something as a trigger to say, hey, you need extra help. Because that also, I think, is a really, really big leap as for people to...
It is.
Like, holy crap, I'm paying for somebody else too. I mean, I remember that for the first hire. Even though I felt comfortable clearing it financially, it was still a big mental jump.
Well, yeah,
to have somebody under you like that.
Yeah, Bruce put me on Spirit Airlines flights to trade shows. Almost tried once.
Well, I mean, you know, we had to start somewhere, so prove loyalty.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing to think about, because now it's no longer you anymore, right? You've got someone else and someone else's family that are depending on you too, right? It's kind of crazy. Something that a lot of people don't think about. But pretty much, I want to say like real close to the beginning, like very close to the beginning, I brought Dan on, who's the designer here. Because we were already working together as it was, like for my brand and stuff. That's how we ended up meeting. I got him to do a couple designs for that. Then as I started the print shop, like I didn't get into screen printing just yet. I just kind of like got the name, registered it, all that stuff. And I had a heat press. I was doing just like little small things here and there. But
was Dan like, was he contract type?
Yeah.
Or was he, okay. So it was a little bit more hourly at first to kind of ease it in.
Yeah. So as I kind of got started, like there were some artwork style jobs coming in and stuff. And like I can handle some of that stuff, but I'm nowhere, not even close to what he can do. So as that stuff was coming in, I was just like passing it off to him one at a time. And I finally got to the point I was like, why don't you just come work here? You know, it makes sense. So, and yeah, that was a very easy conversation. It took about 8 seconds. He's like, yeah, let's do this.
So when you brought that first person on though, and he was full time, where was it a revenue number that you were bringing in, or like what made you feel comfortable and say this is the right time? Or was it there were so many hours he was spending that you had working on things?
It was
like,
more,
what was that full trigger?
It was more just like, I'm going to dive head first into this. I'm going to really start pushing it out there. And like, if you want to get in now's the time. Essentially. Okay. Like there wasn't really anything there. The design work was kind of starting to take off more and more. So it was more or less, I'm just like, I need someone to take care of this. Like I wasn't thinking about anything else. It's just, there's jobs coming in.
What about the second person?
That was more like, he's still on contract work. So it's, you know, he's getting paid as the work comes in. So that's a little bit less stressful. But he's going to actually be coming on full time here when I move to the new shop right away. So that's going to be, now I finally have a print helper, which is going to be awesome, because the wrap side of things I haven't really pushed out a ton, so we don't have a full-time gig for that yet. So until we do, he's going to be helping me. So that's going to be awesome.
I think what's interesting, Lee, is you realize like artwork, like if we're going to make these badass videos, our art needs to complement it.
It really does, yeah.
I'm not an artist, or I'm not the best artist. That's going to suck my time away from making videos, so I have to hire for that.
Yeah.
And it's like you almost like in your head, you kind of put a block in there. And it's like, I have to have that. I just need that, you know?
Yeah. It's something I'm learning, I guess, is learning how to like delegate things, because I'm one of those people who thinks I can do everything all the time. And I'm realizing
we talk about this all the time.
That's just not possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it never changes. It's a constant of... It's almost like a constant skill or focus of being able to know when to get things off and then also to do it.
Which is great, because, I mean, if it need be, I can step into any position around here and fill that gap until whatever. So that's awesome. But, yeah, full-time, it's just, there's no way that's possible. You're either spending all your time designing or spending all your time printing or whatever. Like, I'm still trying to learn how to fit making videos into all this, because... I've been trying to make them full-time, but printing full-time it's a big job on a manual. It takes a lot of time, so I'm pretty much only getting like 2 videos a month right now, because that's all I have time to squeeze in. But
wow,
that's going to change very, very soon.
That's awesome. Are you going direct to screen at the same time too?
No, not yet. That is going to happen though before this year's over.
Wax?
I'm not sure exactly. It's that's another one of those things I can't exactly talk about, because there's other stuff going on behind the scenes. But yeah, that's definitely happening this year. So
we have to pry.
Really, really cool.
There's a lot of 2021 things that are happening.
We're gonna have to do a recap.
There's a lot of really cool stuff coming. Yeah, you guys picked a weird time to do this with me, but yeah,
no, this is cool.
It's gonna be pretty awesome. Yeah, you guys are hearing about some of this stuff first, I guess. So. That's pretty awesome.
What do you think, just as a business owner, as a shop owner, videos aside, is your biggest challenge?
Time management. as being a one-man show, trying to get everything done that needs to get done is next to impossible. Like, I think my next hire is going to be an assistant, someone who can just answer emails and do all the stuff that I hate doing, and that's usually the stuff that ends up getting pushed to the wayside, that like gets forgotten about, because I want to print, I want to make videos, I want to create things and whatever, and that takes up so much time. So by the time I'm done 12, 14 hours a day of that, I'm sitting in front of my computer and I get like one of the 72 emails in my inbox, and I'm just like, yeah. And yeah, so that's a big one, is time management. I guess learning how to delegate little tasks and stuff throughout the day. Like, I gotta get better at that, because that's not gonna happen tomorrow. So I gotta figure that whole thing out.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was with one of my, like, I have a kind of an executive coach that's been helping me out, and I go to him and tell him all the things I'm overwhelmed with constantly. And he made me repeat over and over again what I liked doing and what I didn't like doing. He's like, okay, let's talk about what you like doing. Let's talk about what you don't like doing. He made me like repeat it over and over and over again. He's like, how does that feel? And you're just like, I don't like doing that. And he's like, okay, then like by next week you need to figure out a way to have someone do that completely, because it's not that you don't want to do it or don't have time. You don't like doing it too.
Yeah.
You know? And in your case, like, you need to make videos and print, because that's what that's where you need to spend all of your time. And so I feel you. We're right there with you.
Those are what are paying my bills, so I need to focus on those. And because of my channel and because of the popularity of it, like, there's no way I could keep up with the messages and the emails that come in. Like, that would be a full-time job for somebody. It's ridiculous. Like, we're talking triple digits every day. So it's just not possible.
Bruce is looking at how many comments they get every day, and they're like, okay, well, we need to get triple digits. All right, Luke.
I can't. I mean, the editing of videos alone is so long.
It is.
Originally, I mean, that's what I was doing. Nowhere near getting the quality that you were putting out, but it was either me just talking about some business topic that I was passionate about, or a tour of a shop, or something very rough, very vloggy and everything, and just jump cut it together and push it out. But I mean, the editing is probably 5x time the actual like video.
Oh yeah, like I will tell you, on average, I would say the average video is around 8 to 10 hours of editing. Anywhere between, like, I would say 6 to 20 hours is what I put into an edit.
So for like a 3 or 4 minute video.
And you're editing it, right?
Yeah, I'm doing everything. So, so that's, and you get, I don't know, in a day's shooting, I probably get anywhere between 2 to 4 hours worth of footage, and that gets trimmed down into, 10 to 15 minute video.
Wow.
So.
Do you think you're ever going to find someone to help you shoot and edit and stuff? Or
I definitely would like to. That, I would like to have the YouTube kind of be in, I guess, its own moneymaker, to where I can hire someone just with YouTube revenue. I don't want it to be taken out of the business or whatever. So hopefully it'll get there. That I can bring someone on to maybe help me just do the rough cut portion of things, or help me shoot, just something to help speed the process along. Because this year I really want to, once I get the whole move done, because that's a nightmare right now. But once I get in the new place, I definitely want to be consistent, where I'm doing videos weekly at least, and I would definitely like to go up to like 2 a week if possible. So I'm gonna have to bring on some help to make that happen, either on the shop side or the video side.
What shop software do you use, Lee?
I don't. I don't use any.
You hear that, Bruce?
We're working on Lee.
You guys gotta.
There's some Canadian like just catalogs and stuff.
There's
getting the catalogs, first of all, is such a pain in the butt. I mean, there's been a lot of improvements, but then like Canada is sort of a second thought.
Yeah.
In a lot of distribution, especially, and making it easy to pull that data out. But
yeah, as of right now, I'm just not like I'm just running the shop all willy-nilly here. I got Bruce is
just salty. He doesn't want to make Canadian features because we couldn't go to our we couldn't go to Whistler this year. We had we had a trip plan. We had a trip planned for a whole year. It was supposed to be like next weekend. I think we planned it last January. And so if Canada's closing us off, sorry, Canadian shops. No features for you for a year. Just kidding.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're literally trying to double the engineering team this year, and part of it is internationalization is an initiative for later in the year. So I mean, there's just a lot. It's crazy when you build software at first. You think about, okay, it's for our shop. You know, you don't really think about currency or metric, right? But then all of this stuff is like hard set in, and I'm sure it's very similar for even press manufacturers selling internationally versus U.S. and all the different changes and all that. But going back and then redoing that, like from a shipping perspective and the weights and sizes, and anyway, yeah, it's a thing. But
yeah, it's definitely not going to be easy for you.
So we'll take the heat off, Bruce. Sorry, Bruce. I know it's your podcast, and
I like the heat.
Yeah, I'm waiting. As soon as we get that full Canadian functionality, man, I can tell you I'll be using something.
So, Lee, if you could start over again, you know, what would you do differently? What advice would you give to yourself?
I don't even know. I don't think I'd do anything different, like at all. I think it's working out pretty well the way it's going. I don't know. Whatever I've cooked up here is really taking off and picking up speed, so I'm just gonna let that keep rolling.
Was there anything you would have bought earlier, especially on the screen printing side of going through with the learning and everything?
There's a couple pieces of equipment I guess I would have done different, like just the simple stuff, I guess. Like I would have got a different flash for sure to start off with. I did get a drying cabinet like after I initially ordered all my equipment. I got it like a week after all that showed up because I was like, wow, this is how long it takes screens to dry. This is ridiculous. Why would I ever do this? So I ordered one of those things right off the bat. Just little small things like that. I think I would have upgraded. I definitely, the big one would be the press itself. Something I didn't know about and didn't research, and a lot of people I guess wouldn't, because why would you, is the workflow going from manual to auto. So with my press I have now, it does not complement an auto. So I should have gotten the bigger version of the Riley Hopkins press, which was the 500 at the time, because that one uses the rock platens, all that stuff. So that one would have been just a direct transition, same screens, same pallets, all that stuff, right to an auto, whereas this one does not do that. So that would have been definitely something I would have done different, because it was a couple grand more to go up to the bigger one, and knowing that now, I would have just done that right out of the gate, because it's way more expensive to get all that stuff now.
Gotcha. Sure. What about you? What's something you would have bought earlier or done earlier?
Oh man, that list is really long. Probably direct to screen, like a lot sooner. That was the most liberating piece of equipment we ever got. The fact that we could get rid of film, take screen burning down from like 3 minutes to 7 seconds, and anyone in our shop can cut a screen. And your setup time just goes to nothing because it's all done with computers. Arguably, and it's expensive, like, you know, we have the wax jet, and so it's the same price if you took an equipment loan as paying a part-time employee. Like call it a $15 employee for 20 hours a week for the next, I don't know, 5 years, something like that. Maybe longer. I don't know how long the loan is, but I couldn't live without it. Like we would not. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking, you know. And I look at it and say it's the same as hiring like a folder or a shooter, but instead it's just this like robot. And so I don't know why we didn't do that like 4 years ago or 3 years ago. Nonetheless, we're glad that we did it. Props to Mark Deal Douthit. But yeah, that would easily be like, you know, a lot of shops will say like, I need another press. Like you got to go direct to screen first. If you're between 1 and 2 autos. I don't know. What do you, Bruce? Do you anything similarly, differently? You want to argue with me?
It's interesting. I feel like people either say like what Lee, it's literally a combination of both of those. It's like go as quickly from manual to auto as possible, because from a just health and time perspective, people are like, it makes my life easier. And then everybody says the CTS too is like, yep, no brainer. And some even say two, because if you have volume and one goes down, the amount of issues it causes for waiting for parts and tech or whatever. But and then it's funny, Lee, another one that's a big one is literally the assistant, which we talk about a lot because I think it's so undervalued. And I think it's just because we try to force ourselves with time, but spending that time as an investment of yours to free it up on somebody, let alone being able to pick up those missing pieces. I mean, when I'm booking a hotel for the wrong year for a trade show, it's like, all right, like this, I think some of my team members more were they were the ones that pushed me, and I was probably a year late. But it's pretty cool to see you like on it or thinking about that so early.
Yeah. I mean, I'm late on a bunch of stuff that I should have done even a year ago at this point, and could have comfortably done it a year ago. The only hurdle that I've had to get over is right now my shop is in my house. So
what's the space, or just like people?
Yeah, so like with people coming in and out of there, that's legally not allowed. And just, with space, obviously I can't do an auto and stuff like that. And I didn't want to do, my big battle was I'm not leasing anything. I've refused. I refuse to give somebody that much money for something that is not mine. So.
Would you finance it though, Lee?
What?
So like lease versus finance, would you finance a piece of equipment?
Yeah. If I was going to do that, then yeah, but I'm more or less talking about the space. Because
okay.
Commercial space is so expensive, up here. It's nuts. So yeah, there was just, I couldn't justify doing that. So I took almost a year to find the place that I'm moving into now. Like I bought a house, we're building like 3,000 square feet of shop space on this thing. I bought 5 acres of land and stuff, and now like my home print shop thing is going to continue still being a home print shop, even though it's going to be a much bigger operation.
Gotcha.
So that's awesome.
So you're
sneak peeks. There it is.
I figured out a way around it, because like buying commercial space is just, it's not in the cards. It's
right.
I don't know what it's like down there, but up here, you need around a 40% down payment to buy a commercial space. It's ridiculous. And anything, even like a terrible building, is $1 million. So who has $400,000 laying around? Like, at my level, anyways. No one.
Wow.
So, but I could get a much more expensive, much more awesome house for a fraction of that as a down payment. So I was like, well, this is a no-brainer. Let's find something that I can build this business on and build a big shop on, and let's do it that way. And then I continued to still have a home print shop thing, and it's a win-win. So
you're building a pole barn behind the house, or?
It's I'm letting stuff out of the bag right now. But there's whatever. There's one that's already there. This place was a landscaping company they had for years and years, so there's already a like 1,380 square foot building on there now. And then once the snow melts and the frost is gone and I can do concrete and all that stuff, we're building another building beside that to separate the two. So that way I have the print shop in one and the wraps and all the other stuff in another one.
Sweet. That's awesome.
That's what's going to be coming. We're big reveals right now. Yeah, so it's going to be cool, man. I'm really psyched that I get to continue having a home print shop still, even though it's going to a larger scale, more commercial operation. It's still going to be like 100 feet away from my house. So that's awesome, because like I like to work a lot, and like ideas hit me nonstop out of nowhere all the time. So if I had a commercial space that I maybe had to drive 10, 15, 20 minutes down the road to, that inspiration that hit me like in that moment, it's gone by the time I get there. Whereas this, I just book it outside and we start going. So that's going to be pretty awesome.
That's super cool.
That journey is going to be really cool, I think, to also see documented.
Yeah.
Because you don't see the change long term from home business to commercial size business, the growth of the people on the business side and the lessons learned and the equipment and so on. Like, it's always sort of one or the other of where we're at.
Yeah.
So it'll be neat to see that.
This is going to be pretty cool because, yeah, I guess like it doesn't exist right now anywhere else, at least in our industry, is that people saw me start with my shop package in my basement, build that out, and now we're moving to a new thing. I'm going to be documenting the whole build of the whole place. Well, the current building that's there, none of that really got documented, just because that had to happen like now behind the scenes so I can get the move done. But with building the new building from the ground up, like I'm going to be making videos throughout that whole thing. You're going to see the whole process, the whole new shop startup, seeing the employees now that are going to be coming in and stuff. It's not going to be just me on camera anymore. And just there's so many cool little changes and transitions that are going to be happening over this year. It's going to be pretty cool for the content side of things, I think. Plus,
I'm surprised that there's not a TV show yet on a print shop, right? Like
Netflix, like, come at me, let's do this.
Yeah.
Or Amazon Prime, they put tons of garbage stuff on there. I could make a way better TV show than half the stuff on there.
Yeah, just like people getting in fights, like ink buckets getting tossed, like American Chopper print shop style. Like I think there's a calling for it. So
that's essentially what. Well, I guess not that, because that's like hyped up fake drama a lot of the time, but I guess that sort of vibe, I guess, is kind of what my content's going to start looking like towards this year, because now we're going to have multiple people in the stuff. I'm going to be kind of showing a little more just of what's going on in the day-to-day and things like that. So I think we're going to kind of get a little bit of that vibe going on. And plus there's going to be other cool stuff going down. Like, I got 5 acres of land and I like dirt bikes. So like, guess what's going in the backyard? A bunch of jumps and cool fun stuff that we can hurt ourselves on, and things like that. So it's going to be pretty cool.
That's awesome. Sweet. Well, I just got a text from Bruce that his computer died, which is, not something you do when you're in software. But no, Lee, this is awesome. I mean, just kind of watching how quickly you've built this, looking at your website, the like niche you've carved out. It's awesome, and it's exciting to see, like, hopefully when this is all over and we meet at a trade show, to see like where you're at in a year, 2 years, 3 years. Is there anything, you want to tell printers out there, community, whatever, of anything, whether it's advice or any last closing thoughts?
I mean, I pretty much cover that stuff in the videos on a regular basis, especially the guys starting out, because that's kind of like who I'm speaking to most of the time. The experienced people aren't really coming to me for print advice, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's hard work, man. That's all it takes. It's like anyone could be in my position right now. It's just, are you willing to put in what it takes to be there? That's really what it boils down to, is like, are you going to work harder than the next guy? Because that's what you have to do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Lee, thanks so much for coming on the podcast today. We appreciate it a ton, and we'll have to come back soon and check in with you when things are up and running, and wish you the best of luck. But thanks so much for coming on this morning. We appreciate it.
Hell yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, that's everything for this week. I usually don't close out the podcast. I got Bruce's little bobblehead here, so maybe we'll voice him in or something like that. But thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time. Sweet.